I'm Kevin Clausen from the PPI Group. Been here for a million years, actually. It's coming up on my 13th year, and I'm joined with a couple of my colleagues. I have Rich Hill, and Rich, I called you the point cloud guru. I hope you don't mind.
That's quite all right. Thank you.
Also, I have Wendy Finch with us as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave everybody on mute for now. And then if you don't mind, please, if you have questions, go ahead and type it in. I have about 3 other folks actually watching this as we speak. And what I plan on doing is at the end of it, answering all the questions. I have quite a bit to cover here. And I just want to see if we can get through it. And if worse comes to worse, if we're in a time crunch, I'll make sure that I have everybody's email there, and we'll get those one way or another answered. So anyway, the PPI Group. We've been around forever. We're locally owned, operated for over 86 years, opened in 1927, and we actually have several employees here that have been here for over 30 years. Like I said, I'm coming up on my 13th year. We're actually a gold partner with Autodesk, and how many training centers do we have now? 3, I think it is. 2 up in the Seattle area, 1 down here. Our trainers actually come from the industry. We're proud of that. And we have, worst comes to worst, we can actually come to you. So if you can't make it into one of our training centers, just let us know. We'd be more than happy to pop out there and bring all of our mobile labs with us. So, all right, and real quick, I want to look at some upcoming events. See here, I'll let you guys take a look at this real quick, but just one in particular I want to point out. At the very bottom, there's an Autodesk Storm and Sanitary Analysis extension at the end of July. We just got that set up, and that's very limited. We're actually having somebody fly in for that, and we're pretty excited about that. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to get a hold of us, email us. I'll make sure that we have contact information at the end of it. Also, June 20th, we got the PPI Group, the Civil 3D Group, and it's going to be here at the PPI Group. On the 25th, we have another webcast at Building Design Workflow, and we have the ScanFest coming up. Did you want to mention anything about that, Rich? Or
September 24th and 25th, and we're going to be sending out more information on that. So be checking your emails, but it's basically a full day devoted purely to scanning in all the different markets that it affects. So architectural are the AEC markets and MEP markets. So it's a great event to attend if you're looking at 3D documentation using laser scanners.
All right. And today's agenda, a little bit on housekeeping with just the 24 product in general. We're going to look at some of the core AutoCAD enhancements, and then also some enhancements within Civil 3D. And then we're going to wrap up with recap. Rich is going to be showing that, and then, like I said, if there's, we'll make sure there's time for questions and answers. So anyway, I put this together, and I'll leave this up here real quick. But over here on the far left, this is, well, it's pretty close to what you can get online, but it's a bit of an internal document that Autodesk sent me. It's just all the different system requirements. If that's something that you're interested in, I have my email up here, so please feel free to just pop me a quick email, and I'll make sure I respond with that. A couple things with this. This is the time of year where, it's been out for a while. Folks are starting to decide that they actually want to, get the 2014 on their systems now. I know it's pretty common that folks will wait a little bit, make sure that in case there's any snags along the way, hopefully there's not. There has been a couple of hot fixes and updates. One of the big ones, which we were quite excited about and glad that it's out, is the AutoCAD Reality Capture Memory Leak hotfix. And that's basically with really large files and also point clouds. And Rich, I know you've had a little more experience with that than I have with that. Have you seen, has that been, helped out a lot, or?
It's a pretty new tool, but it's pretty exciting because a lot of people are starting to integrate it into their workflows to expand those. So I'll touch a little bit more on that later,
okay,
and give you guys a full explanation.
And then with the AutoCAD Custom Entity hotfix, there was some issues when you were opening a drawing that if there was anything that was customized with faces on it, it just wouldn't open. So that's out, and these are all quite easy to install. It's mainly just unzipping and replacing some files here and there. And then also the update for the Autodesk 360. I just actually did that one myself. And I don't know if anybody else has ran into this, but every time I got into it, it kept popping up looking for updates. And once I got that installed, it seemed to resolve that. And anyway, I went ahead and threw this performance issue on here as well. There's a couple of different ways you can manually do both of these, but I went ahead and threw it on here. You can download them, and the big thing is, if anything, I've had a few phone calls about performance, and believe it or not, this has actually resolved a handful of them. Just cleaning up the reg apps, and also with these scale lists can become quite large. And all of this, I put a little screenshot over here. This, all I did is I just Googled Civil 3D service packs, and that took care of it. So, and that's going to give you everything there. All right, so let's start talking about some of the AutoCAD enhancements first. And I'm not going to read every one of these things, but a couple of them, these are rather funny. I don't know if funny is the right word, but I kind of think they are. It's talking about the autocorrect with the command line enhancements. There's autocorrect. You know, forever we've had to be so accurate with how we draft, and you know, there was no room for mistakes, whether it be typing or whatever it may be. Well, now the way the program's set up with the command line is it will actually correct your mistakes.
Entry and exit chimes are off.
Also, we'll be looking at some of the other features like the mid-string search, synonym suggestions. I'll show you where you can actually go in and edit all of this. There's a little bit of artificial intelligence in here as well with the adaptive suggestions. When you type in a text, or you type in a command or a macro, and it starts listing everything out, it'll recognize it. You can set a number in there. I think it's like 3 times of doing it in a row. It starts, you know, recognizing how you see fit, and I'll show you all about that. And then content is just, you can take that command line, you can build it, and make it be very specific for your exact needs and increase your productivity. So I'll show you that along the way. And then, I don't know, I called this niceties, if nothing else. There's a couple of neat little features with drawing and drafting. And anyway, they've done a few things with reversing arcs with just a simple control button. Oh, if you have to draw anything in, like doors, whatever it may be. Closing polylines with a fillet or a chamfer. And then I really like some of the layer merging commands. Very, very simple. It's all just simple right-click functionality. And then you can also work with the XREFs. Talk a little bit about 360 today. Probably a lot of you have already explored it to some extent. If nothing else, just think of it this way. It's a great way to share and access documents online. And really the idea to this is everything is going to be done in the cloud. And then there's different ways to communicate, and I'm finding more and more that people are figuring out ways to use it. Another way that I'm using it, or going to use it today, is with the geographic location. It's a slick little tool, very similar to like our Google Earth that we've had in the past, and it allows us to actually set a marker in real-world geographic location, and then we can scale it appropriately and have it come in, and then we can plot that out. So we'll take a look at these, and in fact, let's jump right in and have some fun. So I just threw a few things together inside this drawing just so we can get some of the ideas down. And first things first, I was talking about the autocorrect. And again, some of these things, not that big a deal. I do like this idea, you know, if you're trying to do something like, who knows, polyline, and you start typing the wrong thing. I typed in LP, and you'll notice that it corrected me, and it threw in, oh, there's my polyline, so I can select that and start drawing. So you don't have to be quite as accurate. Now, another thing that you can do with that is the mid-string search. So they've beefed it up even further. And there's a few of these commands I'm sure that you've seen in the past where one that always gets me is when I'm working in Civil 3D and I set a coordinate zone and I get that little star right in the middle of my screen. It kind of looks like it's actually called a geomarker. And I always forget, like, you know, what is the command to turn that off? So now what they have, or they've added in, is a mid-string search. So you can start actually typing in visibility. I know it's a geomarker or visibility or whatever it may be, but I never remember the whole thing. So if I just start typing that in, and as I type that VISI, oops, actually, And there it is. So it's looking in the middle of that, finding that, and then allows me to select that, and then I can go right in and change that in and out. So kind of nice. Now this one I get a kick out of as well. This is the synonym suggestion. So if I know that I'm trying to do something like insert a block or whatever it is, but maybe I don't know. Maybe you're a new user, you don't know how to, you don't know all your commands yet, but you know you're trying to get a symbol in somehow. So if you just were to start typing symbol, and you'll notice that it actually sees that it's a symbol, and then draws a conclusion that you're probably looking for the insert command. And there's quite a few of them actually, and I'll show you where else you can actually set that and make up your own. So the way to do that would be in the Manage tab, and it's called Edit Aliases. So if you pick on that, you'll see that you have Edit Autocorrect List, so you can actually go into this notepad and type in, if you're constantly misspelling something, you can type that in and resolve it there. Or the other one here's the Edit Synonym List, and you can see down here looking through all of these, and you just have to follow the format that they're using. One in particular that I actually did like was the zip. Somewhere in here, zip, and really that would be, if you don't remember, that e-transmit. So you just type in zip, throw it in there, and then once you get up to the command line and punch it in, there it is. So again, it draws that conclusion for you. Now I was talking about that artificial intelligence. Now surely it's not, but if you're doing a lot of area commands and you type in AR, that's for array. Well, because of the suggestion list, you'll see that there's down below there's area. So if I start typing AR all the time and then I grab that, I can actually set this, or actually the software does it on its own. It's going to recognize that I'm doing that and sort of learn my keystrokes. And it's a setting at the end. In fact, I'll show you right now. With the little, on the command line there's that little wrench. If you pull that up and go to Input Search Options, I'll kind of cover a couple of topics at the same time. Here's the autocomplete we're forcing in. That's been in there for a little while. But down below here's the autocorrect. And then remember corrections after, and then here it is. If you have 3 mistypes, it'll start seeing you doing that and then recognize exactly what you're doing. And then on the far right there, you can see that it has a search content at command line. And what that's about is, here in just a bit I'll show you how we can start hatching things. You don't just have to type a command or a synonym. Am I saying that word right? I think I am. That's not an easy one. And then if you know that if you know the actual hatch pattern or the subject, you can type that in, and then what that's going to do is recognize that. So all of these can work in conjunction with another and hopefully speed up the process. And then finally, well, I'll actually show you that with that hatch pattern in just a second. But now I did kind of like this. So whatever command, I just grabbed something easy. I typed in poly, and it's looking for a polyline or a p-line. When you locate a command, you'll also notice that over on the right, this is all within those same settings. You have a search in help. So if I hit that question mark, it's going to look for that and tell me how to use this. Or for that matter, you can go directly to the internet, whatever the command may be, and then it'll jump out there and hopefully get you some information that you need. And then showing that whole content concept, if I hit escape here, I just drew a couple of little things in a drawing to hopefully make some heads or tails of this. And if I knew something like the hatch pattern that I wanted to use was, say, the Earth hatch pattern in here. So, but I don't want to go through the whole process. I can just start typing in Earth. Oops, gotta spell it right though. and it should be towards the bottom. Oh, I know, I changed my, there it is. So again, that's content, and then I can just go pick inside of whatever it is that I'm trying to hatch, and just like that, that comes right in. So pretty slick. I can't hear you, everyone's muted, but I'm sure there's just an uproar of applause on that end right now. Alright, so looking at some of these other features here, just really simple AutoCAD features. Just imported this down here as an XREF, and if I wanted to draw an arc, and you know, this is basic stuff, but you know, I don't do enough of this architectural drafting, so I always make a mistake. If I go in to say I was going to draw where the door swings, and if I go up and use the arc command, I'm in a different program here, and I'm going to do a start, center, and end. And I'll start my arc. I'll go to the center. Oh, actually, sorry, endpoint. And then as that comes down here, I can do another endpoint, and that locks on. So easy enough. But again, I don't really do this kind of drafting, so if I go to do the same thing over here, and go back up to arc, start, center, end again. And then you can see how that door is swinging the wrong way. So if I hold down the control button, it'll flip it, and then I can do that same endpoint O snap and fix that there. So just a little, if nothing else, like I said, a little nicety. Now, other things, I purposely trimmed this out. This, if I list this line, you'll see that that is a polyline. So now I can resolve or close these, turn them into polygons or a closed polyline by using either a radius or a chamfer. So if I go up to, I'll use a chamfer, I guess, why not? And I'll set my distance, I don't know, I'll give it something like 50 and 50. And if I pick this line and that line, you can see where it's going to show me where it's going to meet, and then when I pick that, it doesn't auto close for me, so I don't have to go back through any polyline editing commands, and you'll notice when I select it, the whole thing highlights. Ta-da! And then right in here, I just did this for kicks here. There's a couple of small little commands that I thought were relatively slick. We can combine all of these or merge all of them onto one layer. So I just sort of drew in this little, you know, different colors, and if I show this real quick in our layers, I just called them, you know, layer 1 to or A, B, C, and D. You'll notice that I have some different colors associated to them, and then also different line types. So if I were to actually go in and pick some of these, oops, and maybe I'll take the top one and hold down my control button, grab that one, and then I want to merge all of these onto the layer C there. So with them highlighted, I can right click and I can just merge those selected layers directly to it. And it's going to say, all right, which one is it? I can go find it. In fact, it's the only one left. And when I OK that and get out of this, you'll see that all of these lines are now on that layer and have taken on the properties of that layer. And then finally, let's go into my XREF dialog box real quick. And this bank building back here, I just brought that in just so I could show the command off. And it's just a simple XREF. And if you right click now directly within the editor here, I can right click and say XREF type, and I can immediately change whether it's an attach or an overlay. And I can also do the same thing with the path. I don't have to like detach or get rid of it and bring it back in. I can just immediately say, well, no, this needs to be, you know, X. So nice little things, speeds up the process a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to jump over and look at different drawing here. Now quickly with this, I'm going to do two things. Number one, just briefly and quickly just show off Autodesk 360 a little bit. If you haven't played with it, one, well, it's sort of a two-part thing. I'm also going to actually bring in some maps. So first things first, let's just go up to our tab Autodesk 360, and you'll see that you have the a few different options here. And one is I could actually go right directly to the website if I wanted to. In fact, let's do that. It may ask me to log in. And if you haven't seen Autodesk 360, just take a second here, and I'd highly recommend just go in here. All you have to do is you have to go in and set yourself up a quick password, and then when you're inside of it, it's very, very easy to use. Try that one.
That's what it looks like when you don't do the right password.
Yeah, good, good. We're always teaching, right?
Yes.
Right, Rich?
Indeed. I'm here for you.
Well played, well played. Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep in any of this, but I just wanted to kind of show off that I actually have a drawing that I've stored in here. You go to the Home tab, and then here, I would recommend go to the Getting Started button. It's up here in the upper right-hand corner. Just drop it down from Help. And it really just kind of shows you everything that goes on within the Autodesk 360. There's tutorials. There's online viewing where if you post your drawings out, you can actually go into it and share with others. In fact, that's exactly what this is here. You have to, and it's a real simple process. It just walks you right through it. There's folders. You can categorize things. You can also set permissions. There's different programs. There's AutoCAD 360 or Pixlr that allow you to go in and make simple edits. Some of the WS products will. You can download that, and then it's always showing you what's new. And if you close out of this again, and you need to get back in there, it's just simply going right back up here and oops, wrong one. And then going right back into that getting started, and walk you right through it. So anyway, I'm going to go back to my drawing. Other things on here. We launched that. There's the design feed. And this is, everything has to be set up, of course, and depending on, just on time here, hopefully I'm already logged in, so it should just pop up. But the idea to this is I could go in, save my drawing real quick, and I could actually make notes, and it looks like I'm not going to, well, here it goes. If it takes too long, I'll cancel out of it. Really, if nothing else, I just want you guys to see the process here. So what we're looking at back here is this is actually a legal boundary of the PPI group here in Portland. And I just traced the building as well. And this could be a magnitude of things. I mean, this could be a very large design, whatever it is. I'm just, again, just trying to keep it real simple here. And I could create a post and say something like, I'm going to send this to Wendy, so just so she knows tomorrow when she gets here. Enter here. And I can pin that right in the drawing someplace. And then once I do this, I can then select a person that I want to send it to. And there's Wendy there. And I could create that post, and what it's going to do is write to that, and then this would save back to the cloud, and when she pulls this up, she'll see these notes that I've made and could possibly changes, you know, whatever has to be done. So now, still using this drawing here, I'm going to look at this a new feature that we have called the geographic location. And to do this, first things first, get out of that. Where's that? So on your Insert tab on the far right, you have a set location. So I'm going to click on that, and you have two choices. You can do it from a map, or you can do it from a file. And there's certain coordinate files out there that you can actually immediately pull in. In this case, I want to actually do it from a map so I can search. So it takes a second here. What it's actually doing is connecting to Autodesk 360. And I'm actually connected right here. It's just making sure that everything is intact. It's going to tell me. Now, if I wasn't, it would just do a quick, it would stop right in the middle of it, and like I did last time, I just would have to sign in. And then I'd do that same test, Rich, where I you know, do the wrong one on purpose. All right, so the way it starts is you get a great big map of the world, and what I'm going to do is just type in, I'll keep this simple here, I'll say Portland, Oregon. And I'll search for that. And you can see down here, put a marker. And I could actually drop that marker in if I wanted to. And it takes a second. It's roughly center of town, and there's the marker. And down below here, you can see that that's actually marking the lat and long of that exact location, or at least, you know, through this map anyway. Now, I can obviously I'd want to be more precise, otherwise I'm going to be, you know, panning around and trying to move my marker to its appropriate place. So maybe I'll put the our address out here, which is, oops, 6015. Northeast 80th, so you can write us a letter. Portland, Oregon, and I'll search that. And it looks like I'm pretty close. It's telling me here it is, so I can then drop that marker. And it's writing it into that location. And with these little arrows here, or plus and minus, I can zoom right in. And there's our building. And I can pan. Now, a couple different ways I can do this. Probably the easiest way to do it is actually taking this pin. I can grab it and move it, or just right-click and get it close. So if you go right-click somewhere, you can say move the marker here. And it's going to rewrite that out to that spot. And I'll zoom in just a skosh. Make sure I'm getting it in the right place. And what I'm doing is I'm just using that as a reference. I'm not expecting this to be survey quality. I'm just trying to match my map up here. And just a bit, oops. I find usually about there. Darn it. I'm not making anybody dizzy flying around. It's really touchy. There it goes. Alright, so now I'm going to call that good. However it plays out, we should be close. And then down below here, this is really the key. It's your coordinate system of where you're at. And this is going to depict all my scales and everything. So I'm going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to drop my drawing units to feet. And I'm going to take that coordinate system. Right now it's in meters, and I'll just do something. I think I'll go with that nat 83 foot. And then, usually I find that there's a couple of quick little cleanups after the fact. This little button over here on the right, that'll allow me to set my elevation. And we're roughly, what are we here, Rich? I know the airport's about 31 feet, 60-ish?
fairly close.
If not, we'll use it. I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
And I'll accept that, and you'll see how it shot back out. And you have to reset that back to 83. And that's not too bad. Hopefully that'll hold this time. And once you start sort of locking that in, fine-tuning it, all right, we'll see what we get. I'm gonna go ahead and continue that anyway. And then it says, all right, well, where do you want to place this? Where's that location? And I'm going to match those two up, hopefully. And well, my confidence level is somewhere in between on that. And I know it'll be close. And then as far as the angle, what it wants to know is just what direction is north. And I'm going to go straight up here. I have an ortho on, and I'll pick that. It should take a second and write. There it goes. So that's not too bad. But again, I could come back into this. I'm not going to worry about it, but I could actually come back into this and play with the location of that. You'll see too, if you zoom in and zoom out, it gets a bit tighter. And then what else can we do with this? This is sort of a neat little tool. Right now we're looking at it with an aerial, but I can actually switch it over to a road. And if I zoom out, a lot like Google. Go right back to it. Now, if this does not stay in the drawing, if I save it, it'll actually hold the border of this. But if I go back in and I where's that? Remove that location, you'll see that the whole thing will actually disappear if I say yes to this. And it actually loses that little geo marker as well, and that's the key, because that geo marker is what's referencing both of these together. So again, that would be Autodesk 360 and the geographic locator, or location I should say. All right, so some of these I want to make sure that you have some time on this as well. Few things, sort of, I'm not sure who voted on this, but these are sort of the top, I guess, voted Civil 3D enhancements, and I, maybe I should underline that this release, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's not loaded with new functionality per se, as much as it's, again, just more, I guess, userability and I think enhancements is the appropriate term. Now, contradicting that a little bit is Pressure Pipes has come a long way. They finally have gotten it together where we can actually go into a drawing and we can create a network from objects, and that's pretty much the big one. And you can do that with you can do it with everything. You can do it with splines, polylines, arcs, curves, any AutoCAD objects. You can even reach into an XREF, just like we've done for a long time with Sabian alignments, or for that matter, pipe, just regular gravity-fed pipe systems. So we now have that ability. We can also go in and add these to our cross-section views. So once that's in there, it's just nothing more than selecting your sample line. You'll see that they've written it in just, again, I mean, this is very similar to bringing in, say, another surface or a corridor, or whatever it may be. You just right-click on it, locate that, and it'll come right in. And then we also can actually go into the parts list and assign pay items now, just like we can do with the pipes and many other parts of the program. And we can, and this was a kind of interesting one. Well, actually, as a whole, I'll talk about that in just a second. But we can also do data shortcuts now, and that was the big thing that was missing in the last release. You could get it together as far as your design with the pressured pipe, but if you were using data shortcuts, you had to come up with a different way to bring those in. And I've seen a couple of pretty interesting ways to get that all together. And then they have added more parts. And you'll see that in the part list when you start exploring it, and then also with annotation, they've put quite a few more labels in there. And then a couple of the other ones, just real quick, the corridor targets, I can actually have my corridors target XREFs, and it's just nothing more than a graphical pick. So when you go into set all targets, you pick the little green box, and I'll show you here in just a sec. And then what else we have here? The cross-section additions, and there's two of them here. We can draw projected AutoCAD solids wherever a sample line crosses. And basically what that is, and I do want to show that if nothing else, I'll show you where you need to look for that. This could be anything that's an AutoCAD object. This could be coming from, an architectural drawing. As long as it's AutoCAD and it has a solid surface to it or faces to it, we can, once we're in that sample surface or select your sample line, you can go pick whatever the entity may be. And then finally, display crossing pipes and profile view. Now it'll show us. You'll see the little circle come right in, and it's just nothing more than picking it again, just like always with the cross sections. Now I mentioned this a second ago, and I kind of have a little grin on my face as I'm talking about this. Here's the Civil 3D. This is another one of the big features, that Civil 3D 13 and 14 are in air quotes, they're compatible. And really, truthfully, for the most part, they are. However, and I copied this, I actually stole this out of the help files, and there is quite a few caveats to it, though. And you'll notice, I mean, obviously this is too small for you to read, or we could, I guess, Rich, we could walk out of the room for a while and let everybody take a look at this. But feel free to get a hold of me. I can walk you right to it if you want. It's just in the help files. It's just basically help, and go to what's new, getting started, and then it's the round-tripping data between current versions. And this is really the kind of the final say on some of those pieces that don't make that trip. And I've read through all of these, and there's really too many to list, but the way it works is some will actually go back and show as a proxy object, and you can't do anything with it in 13. Some will, if you go into 13, they will actually write into 13, like an alignment, and if you make edits, but as it comes forward into 14, it'll warn you and say, hey, there was changes, I'm going to revert back to how it originated in 14. So you have to be kind of careful of what it is that you're sending back. And maybe rule of thumb on this, if nothing else, think of it this way, is if it's an object that was created in 14 that doesn't exist in 13, and a lot of that would be like the pressurized pipes functionality, that would be a big one. If it doesn't, then odds are well, in fact, I can tell you right now, it's not going to do a very good job of going backwards and forwards. So you'll want to have a little bit of forethought going into it. And really, if nothing here, I wanted to show you I want to make sure Rich has some time to show the recap here. Within Civil 3D, I wanted to show where those faces are, where you can sample that additional data in. There's one setting that needs to be done. This is, again, whatever the AutoCAD object is, wherever it was created. You're going to want to go into the Settings tab, up to the General, under Multi-Purpose Styles. It's a little bit buried, that's why I wanted to show it. And then under, which one is it here? Under Projection Styles, it's the solids. And I'll leave this up for a second. So basically, once you locate that solids, just like any style, you go in, right-click on it, and edit that, and you end up going to the sections. And by default, if you were to go into your cross section, it's going to be looking for, there's different objects that we can set. And the new one basically is you just go into the AutoCAD solids. You can see here there's probably a pipe or something of that nature. And the only other thing you have to have toggled on with this is the section as well. Then when you go in again, it'll recognize that, see it, and it'll add those into your cross sections. So anyway, if you have any questions about product in general, just you see our Portland number and our Seattle number. feel free to go ahead and contact me directly as far as through the support website, or actually myself there at Kevin C. at the PPI Group. If anything you have more questions on. All right, everyone. Thanks so much.